It's another interesting edition of the Market Review, and what better way to wrap the week? It's Friday, 28th day of August 2020. The Market Review will bring you developments in the financial and capital market as it relates to the economy, and you don't want to miss this last one for this week. We look at the unlisted securities markets. That's our focus every Friday, and the Market Review. So let's first give you some what to expect as we begin. First, we take you with the latest big news in the country, the second quarter capital importation report for Nigeria from the National Bureau of Statistics. We take you also through the NASD PLC weekly review of market activities in the unlisted securities. And we take you to our focus of discussion today, which is the NASD Enterprise Portal and its benefits. It will be interesting to see how the NASD EP is well placed to improve the financial and capital markets in Nigeria. And let's begin with the big story in the country, and that's the fact that the total value of capital importation into Nigeria stood at $1,294 million in the second quarter of 2020. This represents a decrease of minus 77.88% compared to first quarter 2020 and minus 78.60% in second quarter 2019, which is the corresponding quarter. The largest amount of capital importation by type was received through other investments, which accounted for 58.77%, a total of $761.03 million of total capital imported, followed by portfolio investment, which accounted for 29.76%, which is equal to $285.32 million, and foreign direct investments, which accounted for just 11.47%, about $148.59 million of total capital imported in second quarter 2020. We're not doing well in FDIs. By sector, capital importation by shares dominated in second quarter 2020, reaching $464.57 million of total capital importation in second quarter 2020. The United Kingdom continues and is still the top source of capital investments to Nigeria in second quarter 2020 with $428.83 million. This accounted for 33.12% of the total capital inflow in second quarter 2020. By destination of investment, Lagos State emerged as the top destination. Again, Lagos State continues to dominate as the major destination of investment or capital investment in Nigeria. In second quarter 2020, it was $1,130.49 million, and this accounted for 87.30% of the total capital inflow in second quarter 2020. That is huge. No wonder yesterday we discussed around the need to move beyond Lagos. Standard Chartered Bank Nigeria Limited emerged at the top of capital investment for banking. Looking at the banking sector, in second quarter, it had $425.21 million. This accounted for 32.4% of the total capital inflow in second quarter 2020. So the breakdown shows you that FDIs are still low. FDIs. And we need to do a lot to attract more foreign direct investments into the country. But other investments this time dominated. The first quarter, it was for foreign portfolio investments. So now shows you the difference from that. But we'll still have more to discuss around this in subsequent editions. But that's the big news, capital importation at $1 billion level. We expect it to be huge and better than that. Now let's get on to the review of the NSD activities for previous week. The financial services sector, according to NSD, is one of the top 20 contributors of GDP in Nigeria, as financial institutions contribute about 2.59% to Nigeria's real gross domestic product. In response to the pandemic, banks in Nigeria are taking laudable steps to help combat the negative effects of the pandemic. Some of these are highlighted below. The Central Bank of Nigeria, for example, has put in place a one-year extension of a moratorium on principal repayments for the central bank's intervention facilities, a reduction in the interest rate on intervention loans from 9% to 5%, regulatory flexibility for banks to restructure facilities in affected sectors. The central bank has also injected liquidity into the banking sector in order to protect jobs, stimulate local economic production, and the process of import substitution. Zenith Bank PLC of Nigeria has secured a $100 million loan to strengthen its support to clients and businesses whose cash flows have been disrupted by the difficulties caused by the COVID-19 pandemic. First City Monument Bank Limited, on its part, has secured a $50 million loan to assist in the development of lending to small and medium enterprises in order to support the continuation of their business operations, which have been disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Access Bank PLC, on its part, has secured a loan of about $50 million to increase the liquidity of thousands of small and medium enterprises in Nigeria that are addressing the economic challenges of COVID-19. In spite of these various actions, as well as the assistance that the banks are rendering to address the effects of the pandemic, the COVID-19 virus has continued to cause a convulsive shock to the global economy, and the banking industry itself is not exempted. Due to the slowdown of the economic activities, the banking sector has been threatened by economic contraction, as well as a sharp increase in non-performing loans from the already high levels of 11% in 2019. Borrowers across sectors and scales of business have been affected, as declines in income and revenue mean that they will be unable to meet their obligations. Also, the operational constraints of keeping employees safe and meeting customers' expectations as a result of the pandemic. The banking sector is faced with the problems of reducing fee and trading income, as well as pressures on net interest income. The COVID-19 pandemic, on its part, has brought about an increased rate of deterioration of information technology and other support services because of internal challenges or vendor problems. And finally, in this part, there has been an increase in cybersecurity breaches in banks since when the pandemic started. For banks to effectively tackle these problems, they need to act fast and take steps. Some of the steps that banks can take include maintaining business continuity and protecting their supply chain. The NSD, in its capacity, supports and encourages enterprises in Nigeria by providing access to venture wrap. NASDEP helps connect high-growth enterprises in the financial service sector with willing private equity investors seeking to invest, while the NSD Venture Ramp is a crowdfunding platform that can assist entrepreneurs in raising funds for their respective projects. NASD continues to support the growth and development within Nigeria, and through its activities boost the capital market by facilitating capital market raise and liquidity for enterprises across various sectors through innovative products and service offerings. From the year-to-date review, the NSD OTC Securities Exchange market closed on a positive note year-to-date as the market recorded an increase in performance. NSD Security Index year-to-date return rose by 1.67%. The total volume traded year-to-date stands at 7,822,585,238 units in 1,022 deals, and total value traded is 10,714,242,162.25 for the period. In an overview of week 34, NSD OTC Securities Exchange closed the week with a negative return on its NSI. The NSI return fell by minus 0.60% to close the week at 709.17 points against 713.46 points against preceding Friday, that's August period. In addition, week 34 saw NSD investors lose 3.15 billion naira in value. NSD OTC market capitalization closed at 520.93 billion naira compared to 524.08 billion naira against preceding Friday, resulting from a negative movement of prices. There was a 267.25% increase in the total value traded during the week, as week 34 saw NSD investors trade a total of 176,792,234.71 units in value compared to 48,138,105.31 in the previous week. Total trade activity for the year so far valued at 10,714,242,162.25. In the same pattern, volume traded during the week was 2,195,736 units compared to 813,513 582 units in the previous week, leading to a 169.87% increase in trade volume compared to week 33. So total volume traded for the year is 7,822,585,238 units. The week closed with Friesland Campina Wamco Nigeria PLC ranking top among 5 most traded securities by volume, and the Niger Delta Exploration and Production PLC as the 5th most traded stock by volume in week 34. Top traded securities by value, week closed with Friesland Campina Wamco rank among top 5 most traded securities by value. First Trust Mortgage Bank PLC stood as the 5th most traded security by value for the week. In terms of advances, one of NSD OTC stocks closed the week with a positive movement in its price. The NDEP PLC, which currently holds a market cap of 59.95 billion naira, closed the week at 330.58 naira, representing an 8.50% increase from the previous close of 204 naira 67 kobo. Decliners for the week, 3 of NSD OTC stocks closed the week with a negative movement in their prices. Friesland Campina Wamco Nigeria PLC, which currently holds a market capitalization of 117.17 billion naira, closed the week at 120 naira and 1 kobo, representing a minus 5.54% decrease from the previous close of 127.05 naira. Afriland Properties PLC, which currently holds a market cap of 5.30 billion naira, closed the week at 1.84, that's 194 kobo, representing a minus 7.70% decrease from the previous close of 1 naira 98 kobo. UBN Properties PLC, which currently holds a market cap of 10.56 billion naira, closed the week at 1 naira 26 kobo, representing a minus 10% decrease from the previous close of 1 naira and 4 kobo. Interesting developments in the NSD market for previous week. Let's get on to the big discussion about the NSD Enterprise Portal, a platform designed for scaling up enterprises seeking long-term funds. NASDAQ is designed to ease capital raising process for high-growth companies and offer accredited investors unparalleled access to high-yield potential investments. NASDAQ doubles as a repository for information on performance, operations, and investment opportunities that are bound in scale-up enterprises by presenting the collated information required in a structured manner to an audience consisting of venture capital firms, private equity firms, and other accredited investors seeking investment opportunities. NSD, in developing these hopes, this eases the process of investing and fundraising for investors and enterprises, respectively. It was formally launched in April 2018, and WebTV was part of that development when it happened in the year 2018. It was well received by all stakeholders in the markets, including government and policymakers. And that was when we had, as Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Mr. Okechukwu Enelama. We'll try to bring you a little clip of the remarks of the chairman of the NSD OTC PLC on the essence of NASDAQ then. That's Mr. Olutola Mobolorin. When we return, we'll give some insights further on NASDAQ.
NASD Enterprise Portal is a natural extension of our vision and our objective to become the hub for capital formation in West Africa. We seek to create more transparency and raise standard of information provided by both public and non-public companies seeking capital from accredited professional investors in their various stages of gestation. This portal puts needed information in the hands of investors, engendering better research and decision-making. 2, this portal removes the documentation problem that companies often face in reporting and disseminating their performance and prospects in a manner and to a relevant audience that can provide the much-needed capital inflows into their businesses. 3, NASDAQ will capture a more accurate picture of the size, scope, and direction of significant primary private capital market activity, which hitherto has only been reported on public capital market activity, thus ameliorating the reporting problem of investment activities in the economy. Through these services, enterprises who have passed through investor preparedness programs or have received grants/loans from incubator companies now have critical first contact with capital market players and an opportunity to raise growth capital. We believe that the marriage of indigenous entrepreneurs and professional investors that this platform will foster will create companies with the necessary corporate governance, financial reporting, and ethical standards that will, in essence, groom and provide a pipeline of companies suitable and ready to face the public through initial public offers down the road.
Chairman.
And so that's just a brief insight into what NASDEP is designed to create in the Nigerian financial and capital market, an initiative born from the NSD just to ensure that they can attract more activities from private equity and venture capital firms. Now look at the situation in the country. We need a lot of investments to drive activities in the economy and also provide that leverage, that opportunity for high good companies to grow. As you saw earlier, we talked about the capital importation already. The investments are still not really favorable at the moment. But opportunities from NASDEP creates that enabler for investments to come into the market. Let's just look at some of the benefits of NASDEP. As the chairman of NSD said, one of the major catching points here is that it's attracting more investments in the Nigerian financial market. So NASDEP, in terms of its functions and its scope and strategy, will help to attract more investments in the Nigerian financial market. And if there's any market that needs that investment now, it's Nigeria, particularly with these whole disruptions by the COVID-19 pandemic. The second part is providing the platform for high-growth companies to scale in the country, because when you have indigenous companies, high-growth companies in our nation receiving such investments, they're going to grow, they're going to scale, and they can create more opportunities, jobs, and businesses, related businesses that will improve economic activities in the country. Another aspect that I like in this is provide relevant information on companies that are suitable for investments. Disclosures are very important. Information is key, and this is what the NASDEP has been set out to do since its inception in 2018. To promote corporate governance and accountability in the financial and capital market, which is very important in attracting investments. Providing opportunities for private equity and venture capital firms to match with companies of their interests. And that's another very key aspect of what NASDEP is set to do. And this is really a remarkable step taken by the NSD. But 2 years down the line, it will be nice to continue to assess how the NASDEP has fared in its impact amidst all the challenges in the market. Because one major concern for Nigeria's market, financial and capital market, even taken on by the apex regulator, the Securities and Exchange Commission, is boosting investor confidence. When you can address investor confidence, then we can attract more investment. So this is part of the initiatives to boost investor confidence, create the pipeline for more investment to come in, but channeling it to potential companies that have that capacity to transform and grow the economy. And the MD CEO of NSD, Mr. Bola Jomale, who also is a big driver in achieving this, gives some insights into how this will further improve the markets. And Mr. Bola Jomale, who with his team took about 3 years to actualize this, believes that this is one of the big strategies to unlock potentials in the unlisted securities market. Several other initiatives, but we find this is one interesting initiative and will definitely have the NSD officials to speak further on how NASDAQ has really been of immense value to the Nigerian financial and capital market. But some of the things we outlined there and what you heard from the chairman of the NSD, seasoned securities dealing member, or you say stockbroker, former president of China Institute of Stockbrokers, Mr. Olutola Mobolorin, speaks further to the value of NASDAQ on this. So we would like to now take on the CEO, Mr. Bola Jomale, just giving us a brief insight into what the NASDAQ is set out to achieve as at the initial launch, which we covered in 2018.
The whole idea behind it is we're trying to develop the market by going upstream to where the companies are and bringing them down into the market. This portal will give them the corporate governance discipline. It would encourage further disclosure, greater transparency in what they're doing, and would allow us to actually see and capture the full expanse of investment opportunities we have in the country. Again, it will enable such companies to attract capital a lot faster. It would also allow private equity to find such opportunities a lot easier. So it's all encompassing. It's a whole community essentially. You've got the investors on one side, you have those who are looking to raise capital on the other, and in the middle you have the best players in the capital market coming in to act as intermediaries. So essentially it's a new community we're just building. It's been about 3 years in the process. I think it's going to move very quickly from this point on, from the comments we've heard.
And so that was the launch time, and now we're 2 years down the line. It would be nice to get further updates, and that's what we'll do in our subsequent Friday editions of the market review, to get officials from the NSD and even, if most possible, to the CEO to just look at the NSD enterprise portal, how it has scaled and provided opportunity for captured indigenous high-growth companies to access capital. Capital, like we said, is a very critical thing now. I mean, the race for liquidity, the race for capital is huge across the world because everyone wants investments. And just look at what happens to Nigeria. We're just still around a $1 billion investment, capital importation space. We need to scale that, and scaling that has to come through initiatives, strategies, and enabling environment. So this is one initiative that would be monitoring to see the impact it has on the listed securities market and overall the Nigerian financial and capital market. It has been an interesting week discussing the market review with you, our viewers in Nigeria and across the world. And you know that the financial and capital market is a reflection of developments in the economy, but very important to all investors and the public because it shapes lives, shapes families, shapes even wealth creation across the nation and the world. Join us throughout the week, a brand new week, for reports, analysis, and exclusive interviews on the Nigerian capital market. But we'd like to hear from you. Send your views and comments to news@prochange.com. Tell us what you think about the show, some developments you would like us to discuss further, and your perspectives around some of the developments happening in the markets. And to all our investors and the public, please, we once again make that appeal. Beware of online platforms this period that come out, spring out, and promise you 100 to 200% returns. They are not, and particularly not registered by the Securities and Exchange Commission or even regulated by them. We're seeing a lot of schemes coming out, digital schemes amongst others, and promising you good cash returns. They're out to rip you off your hard-earned savings and what you've toiled for, which is your money. Families, individuals have lost and caved into these whole schemes and have regrets. You should not be part of that regret story. You should take this information and you should avoid such schemes so you can be able to make the right choice with your investments. And the financial and capital market is there for you to explore. And you need the right information. ProShare, Nigeria's leading financial information hub, is here to give you that clear, incisive, and informative step to take when it has to do with the markets. If you need some further insights on that, you can send your views or questions to research@prochange.com for further insights on that. That'll be a wrap for the week. Thank you for being part of us, viewing all our programs throughout the week, and we hope to have you same time in the new week by 10 a.m. Till we come your way again, thank you for watching. Have a nice day and stay safe.